Alright, so in this video, I'm going to be ranking every part in Bloodbath on a tier list. Other people have done this in the past, but they've only ranked the parts from easiest to hardest. But this time, I'm ranking them with both decoration and gameplay in mind. Of course, this is my opinion. Leave your opinion in the comments below, but let's just get started. Okay, so finding the worst part in Bloodbath is pretty tricky. I try to rate these parts without being blinded by nostalgia like most people. But even with that in mind, I think every part in Bloodbath is of great quality. With that being said though, someone has to take the bottom spot, and I think that bottom spot goes to Riot's part, which even though it's at the bottom at 11th place, I think this part is at least a B. The part does exactly what it needs to do, which is to finish off the level. Of course Riot couldn't get too fancy with it, only taking up 2% of the level. It even has a little Easter egg in the Michigan route. Good part. For the 10th and 9th spots, I think Havoc and Michigan's parts really fill these spots. I give both of these parts a B+. Havoc's part is really good, and I think it's really fun to play once you get it down. It is one of the more slightly forgettable parts, which really isn't saying much for Bloodbath standards. 9th spot is going to Michigan's part, which is really infamous for being the hardest part of the level, and pretty much the biggest choke point of the level besides maybe G-Boy. I don't even know how you pronounce that name, G-Boy. G-Boy. G-Gobi. I don't really know. I really like the theming of this part. It feels like you're exploring the ruins of a bloody, sadistic temple. But, of course, the most infamous thing about this part is the difficulty. Everything in this part is hard. The cube, the ship, the wave, the UFO. Especially this one UFO click. Anyways, these parts round off the B tier section on the list. And now we move on to the A tiers. In 8th place we have Zeron. Nothing really too notable about this part. I love it a lot. The only reason it's an A tier is because of its gameplay. I don't really like some of the orb clicks you have to do with the ship, but I don't know. I might just be salty that I died here twice and dropped the level. A-. No! In 7th place, I decided to put Etzer's part here. I really like the build up right here. It's really charming. It also has some bugs, but we don't really need to mention those. I also like how Etzer incorporated his name to the gameplay. Also, it's a pretty fun part to play. The only reason why this is lower than other parts is because of some slight decoration errors here and there, but I still think this part deserves an A. Keep in mind, these are all really hard to rank, and this very slight details might make a difference in how I rank them. Anyways. Next, we have Vermilion. I know everybody won't agree with me, but I think this part is really fun. I think this part is also decorated really good. I really like the placement of the saws and bushes in the ship part. And with the ball part isn't anything extremely unique for Bloodbath standards. I like how the clicks sync up with the level. Not exactly going with the song perfectly, but syncing up in its own way. I don't really know if I explained that correctly, but just play the level yourself if you don't know what I'm talking about. Solid 8 here. Starting off with the final 5, I thought Sonic's men's part deserved the spot. The gameplay in this part is perfectly made both for the UFO and bell part. I like how the saws and clouds are strewn around, and it makes for really good gameplay and decoration design. I can tell that Sonic Man really knew what he was doing when he made this part. We're starting to get to the point where I don't really have any nitpicks about the part I'm talking about, and they are only ranked for how well the creator executed what they were trying to do. But anyways, this part gets an S-. Moving on, we have Evasium. This is one of the two black parts in the level, following Michigan's corridor part. In my opinion, Evasium's part is the most fun part in the level. Something about the fluid movements of the ship, UFO, and wave in this part not only makes it one of the best parts to play in this level, but one of the best to watch. On the decoration side of things, some of my favorite things in this part are the brick decorations in the background, which stop the part from having no background deco and making it feel bland. Another thing in this part are the chains hanging down from spikes and blocks. Even though this decoration choice is pretty much a no-brainer, I like the shade of red in this part, and it prevents it from being a completely black part. There's some more stuff in this part that I could talk about, but I've waffled on long enough. This part is an S and maybe even an S+. Alright pal, it's time for the top 3. Wheel Tio. Wheel started off Bloodbath the best you could have started it. The cave you come out of 0 is an iconic first block for people wanting to beat this level. Obviously, if you're making the first part for probably the most popular and recognizable level in Geometry Dash, you would want to make it perfect, which Rio did. Following this cave is the iconic Straight Fly, which pretty much introduced the community to straight flying, something that they would have to master throughout the years. After that is the ball, which is wonderfully decorated, but hard to get good at and master. Overall, this is the perfect way to start Bloodbath, and I think this part deserves an S+. G-Boy. It was a hard pick between this and first place, for the reason that they basically both have no flaws, but I had to make a list, and I decided to put this one second. There are way too many things I like about this part, so let's just go down the list. First, the words "your blood" go hard as fuck, and they fit right in with the level. And I also like how they're written in tiny little dots. Second, in the brick background, some of the bricks are missing, which is an amazing design choice. It further reinforces the feeling of exploring an abandoned temple in Michigan's and Invasium's parts. I like the mini spikes in the ship part. I don't know why, they just look good. And I like how the ball is built. It's some pretty unique gameplay at the end of the level. There's a lot of things I like about the level, but those are the main ones. This part gets an S+, but now it's time for Crack. I know most of you probably expected this to be top 3, but I do truly love this part, and I think it's one of the best parts ever built in any level ever. Not only does it work perfectly with the drop of the song, which is in my opinion the best part of At the Speed of Light, but the feeling when you get to that part is exhilarating, boosting you up to 3 times speed, which is very fast compared to the slow part before it. The decoration in this part is flawless, with pieces of bricks and other objects scattered around in perfect places. This part is pretty much just straight fly, which I think works well with the song and the level in general, and the clubstep monsters too. These guys are what makes the part so good, including one of the most famous clubstep monsters in the game, the Crack clubstep monster. This clubstep monster and this part in whole is a statement. Crack's part in the Bloodbath is perfect in all its synonyms. Beyond S. Overall, Bloodbath is one of the best levels this game has ever seen, and from Wheel Wheel Tio to Riot and everything in between, this level is a masterpiece. Thank you for watching, and good night.